let's do an advanced lighting tutorial. And specifically, I want to work with you step by step to go from this to this stylized dance portrait. Let's get it. What's up, friends? My name is Pye. Welcome to another MagMod tutorial. This is my friend Kiara, which I think you all know by now. But we're going to go ahead and link her up anyway so y'all can give her a follow. I want to dive right into this. And guess what? We're going to do what we always do. We're going to think camp first, composition, ambient light, modify, photograph. So before I start setting up lights, I want to figure out compositionally what I want to do. So I have Kiara in this kind of cool, what did you call it? Is it catsuit, jumpsuit? What is that? Jumpsuit. Okay. We're going to do kind of a stylized dance portrait, but let's start with our poopy before. We always got to start with like a really bad before shot, right? So let's get that before shot. But I do want you to be in your pose. So Kiara, let's have a pose where maybe they're kind of like arched up and over. Something we're going to hold through each shot, okay? A dance-inspired pose. I love that. Okay, that's going to be our basic shot. I'm going to go ahead and just shoot for ambient light, and we're thinking composition first. I'm on a Canon R5. I'm on the 28-70, and I'm zooming in quite a bit. With this natural light shot, really all I'm trying to do is dial in composition. So I know I want to be kind of zoomed in, maybe cropping in the thighs, showing some of the background, and have Kiara in kind of a dance pose. We can modify the pose and whatnot, but this gives me an idea of my starting place. The next thing I'm going to do is go to my ambient light. And for this, I want to knock out all the existing light in the scene. So I'm going to go ahead and go to F4. I'm going to drop my ISO to ISO 200. We're going to keep it at 1/200 of a second. Kiara's going to hold that same pose, and we take our shot. Boom. We're done. That is a beautiful image. Just kidding. That is completely blacked out. But what it does is it gives us a place, because I don't want any ambient light in this scene. We're going to build from the ground up for this. So now we get to the modify piece, right? When it comes to an advanced lighting setup, we're doing a lot of modifying. But I want you to think in layers. And specifically, we want to work one light at a time, get yourself happy with it, and then move to the next. We're going to use a couple different tools for this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with just a background light. I want to make the background kind of a reddish hue like her outfit. I know her outfit is more pink than red, but if I get it close, I can always kind of dial it in further when inside of the edit if I don't have an exact mask. For this, I'm going to use my Profoto A10. You can use any flash you like, and I'm going to pair it with a red mag gel, okay? For the light placement, I'm going to place it directly behind Kiara and kind of angled up and facing this back wall. So my goal is to kind of create a wash of light. Right now I have it about 7 power. That's roughly like what, 1/16 power. It's not a ton of light, but it should be just enough to give me some color on the background. I'm gonna go ahead and pop my remote on. We're gonna go for that same kind of pose. Oh, and I love that. Okay, so now we compare to that pitch black version, we basically have a silhouetted shot. And this could almost be a look and a style in and of itself where you can create really cool silhouetted images just by throwing a gel against the wall. But we're not done. We're not anywhere close to done. Now, this is one of those times where I got the power right where I want it on my first shot. But look, if it's a bit dark, then you're gonna brighten up, a bit bright, you're gonna darken it. Whatever you need to do, go for it. But I wanna work one light at a time, because we have this tendency to basically place all of our lights in a scene and try to get things the way that we want it to look. And it never looks the way we want it to. It's too many variables to be controlling at once. So work one light at a time when you're in that step of kind of modifying your light. I've got the background the way I want it now. Now I want to throw up a pattern on the wall. And this is going to be a lot of fun because we happen to have the new MagBeam. So this is the re-released MagBeam. It has some updates and new features. And what this allows us to do is I'm currently using the mask that's going to basically create a Fresnel lens and beam a pattern onto the wall. There's a couple tricks when you're doing this. So one, on the back side, you're gonna choose a pattern. For this specific shoot, I'm actually gonna use this kind of starburst pattern, but there are tons of MagMasks to choose from. So it's a lot of fun. You have tons of different creative styles and effects you can do. And once you place this inside, the important piece on the front end is this. So this is the kind of Fresnel lens on this. We wanna make sure that the smooth side is facing out. You want the ridges, so if you run your fingernail along it, we want those ridges facing inward toward the light, and then you're gonna compress it all the way down. So I'm gonna show you how it looks set up. I'm gonna go ahead and pop this in. I've got the mask on the flash side. This is where it's gonna connect to the flash, and I've got the lens facing the right way, smooth side out, groove side in, and the only thing I need to do now is make sure I compress it down. So we want to make sure that when we're using the MagBeam and we're trying to get these masks to work, we're not shooting like this. Otherwise, we're going to get soft patterns. The Fresnel lens is not going to do what it needs to do. So we want to bring it in so it's at the right distance. This is what it looks like when it's basically ready to go. Mask on one side, lens on the other, compressed down. Now I'm going to pop it onto a flash. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this light. We're going to pop that right on, just like that. Make sure it is like nicely centered so that beam just lands perfectly on the wall. I'm going to place this one behind Kiara as well. I'm going to probably have to end up photoshopping the stand out of it, but I'm going to place it right here and kind of angled slightly up towards the wall to hopefully get this beam pattern right behind her head, okay? So the goal is to kind of create a starburst effect just directly behind her. And with both these lights set up, I'm going to come back to the camera and give it a test. So one light at a time, right? We got our background color right. Now we're going to get that pattern right on the wall. Oh, that looks dope already. One thing to kind of pay attention to is that the actual zoom on your flash is going to change the way that the mask works a little bit. I found that you get the tightest pattern, the most detail in the pattern, when you're zoomed in around like close to 100% zoom. So zooming almost all the way in, around 70 to 100%. When you're zoomed all the way out on the flash, so when it's going wide, then you tend to get a softer look with the pattern. But again, that's a stylistic thing. So you kind of want to decide for yourself which look you like better, okay? The only thing for me is I need to adjust the position of this just a little bit to get it directly behind Kiara's head. Okay, so with that, it should be just about right. And you'll notice that you'll get a slightly different angle on that pattern and kind of a different location by just adjusting the camera. So when I'm standing, I get the pattern directly behind the head. When I sit, it kind of goes a little bit more behind the shoulders. No worries, we can play and tweak there. But your angle is gonna matter as you're shooting. So now I've got the pattern the way that I like. The background looks awesome. We're getting this kind of cool stylized look. Now it's time for our main light. For our main, I'll be using the Profoto B10 just so I have a little more power, but use any flash you'd like. I'm gonna pair it with the MagMod Pro 24 Octa with the grid on it. Now I know you're wondering like, how complicated is this to set up? Like, how do I do it? It's so difficult. That's it. Just pop it on. I'm gonna do this in two separate pieces because I find it easier. I'm gonna take the ring off. I like to kind of put the ring on first. I feel like it makes my life easier. And then once that's on, take this handy dandy little guy, boom, good to go. I'm gonna bring this over to the left of my subject, okay? You'll notice that I'm gonna position it also kind of behind her. So it's gonna be a little bit behind her and angled forward. The grid is gonna prevent this light from spilling onto the background so that way we don't lose the red in the background, okay? That means that with the pose that we're doing, I kind of want to make sure that Kiara is angled towards the light a little bit with the face. I'm going to go ahead and take a test shot now with that light set up. We'll leave it in the frame too, just so we can see. We are getting dialed in now. I'm looking closely at it now, and the only thing that kind of bugs me a bit is the shadows are a bit deep. They're a little bit too dark. Now, with this, we have another option where we can add another light to kind of fill shadows, but we're already with a 3-light setup right now. So I want to do something a little more simple. If you have a reflector or a V-flat, I'm going to use a V-flat, then just set it up opposite of the main and you'll get a nice bit of fill kind of kick back into the scene. Okay, I love this. We're going to place these side by side as you can see what the V-flat is doing. To me, when an image lacks shadow, or like when the shadows are basically too deep and dark, it feels a bit less refined and it feels almost like it loses some of the shape and dimension. So I love how that V-flat kicks a little bit of light back into the bodysuit especially, and kind of fills in the shadows and brings in some detail into the shot. That's awesome. All right, so this is the place where we're basically done modifying. Now we get to the final piece, the photograph piece. So pose and photograph, and that's what I'm gonna do now. So let's go ahead and get our shot, Kiara. All right, so here was our before and here is the final image. And hopefully that's a lesson to y'all, to take the worst possible before image because it makes the after look that much better. That's the lesson. That's not the lesson I want you to take away. I hope you guys learned something from this video. Hopefully it was valuable to you. We're gonna link up all the gear that we used below in the description of the video. We'll also link up Kiara so y'all can give her a follow. As always, I'd love to see you all subscribe to the MagMod channel. It's a growing channel. We have awesome content and education coming out with the best lighting gear. And let me know what you think in the comments, because I actually get a lot of my ideas from your guys' comments, and I read them all. I do my best to reply as well. But I'll see you guys next time. Peace.